take a moment and really allow for your full presence, your full awareness. To be right here. Allow the power of your attention and your intention to be right here in this moment, in this breath. Just fully arrive. And allow that awareness to merge with your breath. Don't try to change the breath, but just allow your awareness to fully merge with it. So as the breath flows in and out like the waves of the ocean, you are just merged into that breath, flowing in, flowing out, just fully aware of the breath. And notice as you do this whether there are places where it's easy to be aware of the breath. In the rib cage, in the lungs, in the abdomen. But can you also be aware of the breath just as it begins to enter you? Just as it barely is blowing across that little space just under your nose, above your lip. Can you be aware of the breath even from there? Before it even enters the body, can it enter your awareness? संदीप जी तो जाके उन लोगों से बात करो कि काम बंद करो अभी थोड़ी देर. Can you feel that awareness? Of the full experience of the breath. Before it even is entering the nose. And can the awareness stay with it through its entire journey into you, through you, and then again as you exhale? Can you hold the awareness with that breath? Don't judge if you can't, don't worry, it's okay. We're just noticing. It's not about good or bad or A pluses or Fs. It's just about noticing. Just seeing how fully aware you can be. And if the awareness gets distracted by a sound or a sensation in the outer world, or by some fluctuation in your mind of a thought, a memory, an emotion, whatever it may be, don't worry. Just as soon as you notice that you've been distracted, just bring back the awareness. Just bring it back to the breath. And as you inhale and exhale, you can add this very simple, gentle mantra. The mantra is so hum. It means I am that. I am that. I am the universe. I am the creator. I am the creation. There is nothing I am not. I am it all. So as you inhale, just allow yourself gently, sort of in the background of your consciousness, to chant so. As the breath is coming in. And as the breath is going out, just chant hum. Silently to yourself on the exhalation. Just allow that sound to remind you. You are one with everything. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level in Namaste. And rub the palms of your hands against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And slowly lower your hands and open your eyes. Welcome to Satsang. Beautiful to be able to be back outside tonight with this much cooler but dry weather. Starting as usual with one of the questions that comes from our our family around the world joining us through the internet, people who can't be here physically, but are tuning in from all over the world, and they join us through this gift of technology. We start with a question first that they send in, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. Just raise your hand. How do you think we should want to be remembered? From Mary in Temecula. There's a beautiful saying, and I don't remember who said it, but it's a beautiful quotation that says, no one will remember what you said or what you did, but what they will remember is how you made them feel. That people will remember how they felt when they were with you. And to me, that's really, regardless of whether people can remember what you said or did, I think that's really the most important piece, because if all you're remembering is facts or words of that which happened in history, oh, this person did that, or said this, it's just a historical happening, it happened and now it's over. But if what people remember is actually how they felt in your presence, then they should be able to connect with that even when you are no longer here in your body. Like if you think about someone you really loved who's passed away, as sad as it is to remember them, chances are you can close your eyes and feel what it was like to be loved by them, what it was like to be in their presence, in their lap, in their arms. We remember it, and then we feel that in us. And, you know, when I look around, I see people with little smiles on their faces, because it makes us remember that. Not just as an event that happened, but actually in something I'm able to access in this moment. And so to me, I would want to be remembered by how people felt. By how my presence, my words, my actions, whatever it was, how that made people feel. Because that's the point. It's about changing how we feel. Taking people from pain to an end of pain, from suffering to an end of suffering, from confusion to an end of confusion. I mean, even regardless of what your role on earth may be or your dharma on earth may be, even if it's not as a spiritual teacher, don't worry. Still, ultimately, the goal is the same, that we should be able to make people feel joy, love, peace, understanding. Right? I mean, as we move through the world, you may think you want power or, you know, for people to be afraid of you, but ultimately what we want is for people to feel connected to us, to feel love. And that love comes because on some level we have touched a place in them that is love. We have catalyzed an experience of love in them. So I think we should want to be remembered by how people felt around us, and enable them, therefore, to remember us experientially in their bodies, in their energetic bodies, in their hearts, even when we're no longer there. And sure, words are beautiful, actions are beautiful. But ultimately what matters really is the ripple impact of how people felt, and therefore how they changed, how they lived in the world, and therefore how they made other people feel. And that's how change comes. When we feel different, we act differently. We speak differently, we live differently. So I would want to be remembered by having people feel differently, therefore think differently, therefore understand differently, therefore live differently. Questions here? Yes. He's running behind you with a mic. Yes.
It's okay?
It's on, yeah. It's not a great mic. We're getting new ones, but yeah.
So, what's the difference between the desirable detachment and the emotional distance?
Great question. What is the difference between desirable detachment, as we speak about it on a spiritual path, the Sanskrit term is vairagya, or emotional distance, that obviously we understand is not something quite so desirable? Emotional distance, shutting ourselves off, essentially is a defense mechanism. I do it because I don't want to be hurt. If being in a certain situation might make me hurt, I shut myself off. If someone has hurt me or I'm afraid they're going to hurt me, I will shut myself off. Sometimes if I've just been hurt, I'm going to shut myself off from everyone all the time. Just in general, I will create a wall around me that I think protects me, but actually ends up suffocating and killing me. But as I erect that wall, I erect it thinking that I am protecting myself from being hurt. But it's just a defense mechanism. And all it does is it keeps us separate from not only other people, but our own heart. It doesn't keep us from being hurt, it actually makes us hurt. Because we're no longer able to trust and to love and to open up. Detachment, on the other hand, vairagya, comes from a very different place. One is a moving away from, and the other is a moving toward. So emotional distance is a moving away from. I don't want to be hurt, so I'm just going to wall myself off in a corner over here. Whether it's a literal corner or a metaphoric corner, I'm pushing the world that might hurt me away and protecting myself over here. As I said, actually suffocating and killing ourselves, but I think I'm protecting myself. Vairagya is a moving toward. Vairagya, detachment, is not from the juice of life, the meaning of life. It's detachment from the nonsense that keeps us from living in the juice of life, in the meaning of life. Vairagya is letting go of that is distracting us, that is keeping us stuck, that is grabbing our attention away from actually the juice of life, actually the source of joy in life. But vairagya is not a pushing away of the world, it's a moving toward. One beautiful way of understanding this, which is how it came to me, how I learned. When I first came here and learned about vairagya, detachment, it didn't make any sense. Because I thought, really, we're just supposed to be disconnected? I mean, detachment in English is synonymous with disconnection. And then I looked around and I looked at the enlightened masters I knew. I looked at Puja Swamiji. I looked at other masters, the real ones. And every one of them was so connected to life, so present, so there, so ready to smile, to love, to sing, to dance, to embrace, to give their shirts off to someone who needed it. In connection. Because someone's pain was their pain. So ready to stay up all night, figuring out how to get disaster relief supplies to people in earthquakes, in floods, in tsunamis. And it didn't make any sense to me. But I just sort of filed it away with like things about India that don't make sense to me. And then one day I was hearing the recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a thing called Katha, which is the recitation of scriptures. And there's Ram Katha, Mahabharat Katha, and Srimad Bhagavat Katha. It's a very, very popular one. And it's the story of the Mahabharat, but it's also actually the story of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Very long. Lots of interwoven stories and pieces to it. And as I was listening to the recitation, the speaker was speaking about bhakti. Now, bhakti means devotion, and I had always just thought that bhakti was a virtue, something we should cultivate. But he was speaking of her as actually a character, a woman who lived. She was a role in these stories. Bhakti's children, 2 sons, Gyan, wisdom, and vairagya. And in that moment it made sense to me. Because bhakti is not dry devotion. Bhakti is juicy devotion. When you look at the saints, the mystics, the seers, those who are in the bhakti lineage, they are the ones who were singing and dancing God's name, who were just in ecstasy of love. Tears of love pouring down their face. I mean, these are the mystics in love with God. Juicy devotion. In Hindi they say ras, means juice, essence. And I thought, well, how can dry detachment be born from juicy devotion? And what I realized was that actually detachment was not the correct English translation of vairagya. That it actually is reattachment. That you begin by attaching yourself to God, to bhakti. You can't get a son without the mother. So we have to begin with bhakti, with love for God. When you have love for God, in that ecstatic, juicy way, well, naturally your attachment to like all the little, small kind of nonsense, who's saying what to whom, who's wearing what, who's talking to whom, whose car is bigger than whose car, whose house is bigger than whose house, whose bank account is bigger than whose bank account, like that stuff, you automatically detach from it. Because you are immersed in love for God. And so vairagya is a moving toward, not a moving away from. It's a moving toward devotion, toward God. And when that happens, the amount of time and energy that is spent over little things, automatically you're detached from them. But they detach automatically. It's like the beautiful Mahamrityunjay mantra that speaks about, I won't go into the whole mantra now or that'll take up the rest of Satsang, but it speaks about a prayer that we should become like this fruit. Sometimes it's translated as a squash, sometimes as a fruit, but you picture like a big kind of juicy, sort of half melon, half zucchini type of thing. We don't actually have them in America, so there isn't an exact English translation of it. But just picture like sort of a hybrid between a melon and a zucchini. Now, the prayer is, make me so ripe, like that fruit squash, that the vine automatically drops off me, and I don't have to be pulled from the vine. Now, what is it talking about? It's talking about a spiritual ripeness in which this attachment to, whether it's the physical body itself, whether it's to the story, the drama, the possessions, the attachment, that I should be so ripe that it's not that I am wresting these things from me, that it's a difficult, painful detachment, oh my God, but that actually I just become so ripe, so full, that the vine just drops off on its own accord. That's vairagya. I'm so in love with God, so full of that ras, that juice of devotion, that all of the rest of what I am attached to drops off like that vine mentioned in that mantra. Yes. Yes.
My question is, if I'm working on my ego or reducing my ego, I have it that I am the mother, I am right. And I can't get rid of that I-ness, I am the mother. So even with my husband, like, I am right, because I'm the mother. I know best. And I'm really stuck with that. I want to realize my soul. But
beautiful. So you're not alone. I would imagine the line, I am the mother, therefore I am right, is heard in a multitude of languages across a multitude of countries and cultures across the world. As though somehow getting pregnant and pushing out babies somehow brought great wisdom along with it. As though somehow, on the tail of the sperm traveled great wisdom right up into me, and then it came through my bloodstream into my brain. Right? I mean, it's funny when we think about it. And yet, most mothers have that feeling. Now, it's not without merit. It's not without merit at all. I'm poking fun at it. But it's not that there isn't merit in it. There is. And the merit is in love. The way that a mother loves her children frequently enables her to see things in a way that the child cannot see for himself or herself. There is a clarity that the love of the mother for her children brings, that oneness between the mother and the child, that absolutely gives the mother, if not wisdom about the world in general, certainly wisdom about the nature of her child. And yet, that doesn't mean we're always right. It doesn't even mean we're most of the time right. Because a lot of times also that love can cloud our vision. The love can very easily and quickly be attachment. Not just attachment to the physical being in front of me, but attachment to how that being is going to grow, what their life story is going to be like, what type of education they'll get, what type of friends they should have, what types of sports they should play, or what types of extracurricular activities they should do, who they should marry, where they should live. I mean, a lot of times it clouds my vision because I'm so attached to my own agenda for this being that I wrap up my agenda in this idea of it's all love. And there is great love, and I don't mean to undermine the love at all. The love is profound and incredible, and it's been said many times that there's no love on earth greater than a mother for her children. And that doesn't necessarily mean that she can see what's right. And it certainly doesn't mean she can see what's right for her husband. There's a beautiful poem by one of my favorite poets named Khalil Gibran. And I highly recommend it. It's a poem called On Children. But I recommend it to both parents and children because it's a poem that describes really the ideal parent-child relationship. What as parents we should give, what we should not. And there's a line in it that says, and he's speaking to the parents, you can give them your love, but not your thoughts, because they have their own thoughts. And you may seek to be like them, but try not to make them like you. Because time does not move backwards. I've paraphrased that, but it's close. And it's really important to not mix up love and thoughts. If I were in your case, and really looking, as you say, I want to experience my soul. I want God realization, self-realization. I would begin simply by asking myself, why am I so afraid not to be right? What would it mean if I wasn't right? And what's that fear? What does that feel like inside me? And why is that so scary? And then I would look to work with that. What's the fear? What might that mean? What death grip of control would I have to loosen a bit over the current situation and sit in a place of perhaps, oh my God, not knowing, which is scary. Because if I don't know what's right for my child, how can I know anything at all? I mean, that would be the clearest piece of knowledge that I have. And if I'm not always right about that, maybe it means I don't actually know anything at all. And that's really scary. But it's also extraordinarily freeing. Extraordinarily freeing. Because then you realize that you become this blank slate. The moment we realize I don't actually know anything. If you can allow yourself to drop through the terror of that into the ecstatic freedom of that, it's very beautiful. Because it then enables us to become like sponges and soak up wisdom everywhere. And it also enables us to listen to the voices of the universe, even the voices of our children, who came through you and therefore have their own wisdom. There's a trust and a letting go and a surrender that's really important. And if what you want is to touch that truth of the soul, then you have to let go of this attachment to the role of the always right mother. But think of it as a beautiful, fun opportunity. I have to imagine that your husband and children will be very excited at the idea of possibly ever being right. But I mean, it's not easy. In my house, I'm an only child. And in my house, the rule was, my mom was very democratic, and the rule was we voted on everything. I got 1 vote. My dad got 1 vote. Mom had 3 votes. So this is universal. This is universal. But that ability to really surrender into the divine, and the divine in your child. And it doesn't mean you don't guide. Of course you guide. You guide, you advise, you do all of those things. But you do it from a place of knowing that you're doing the best you can, rather than from a place that you are definitely right. So it's from a place of openness and expansion, rather than a place of contraction. And it enables you to listen more. What is your child saying? What is the universe saying? What is your heart saying? What is your husband saying? Might there be a different way to go here? And then you stay open. And when you are open, then you become able to actually sit in meditation. Because in order to meditate, you've got to let go of your death grip on life. You can't do it otherwise. Otherwise, you sit to meditate and all you're doing is making lists. Things you need to do, things other people need to do, things... You've got to let go. And then you can meditate. And when you can drop into meditation, then you begin to have that opportunity to experience the self. Yeah. Other questions?
How do you find the right guru?
Who spoke that? Ah, thank you. Wonderful. Can you come forward just so I can see you?
Yeah, how do you find the right guru?
How do you find the right guru?
And should that guru be from the present only? Like, could I be from the books? Like,
Beautiful. Okay. So last night I was explaining that the actual word guru, the Sanskrit word, means the one who removes the darkness and brings the light. The light of who we are, the light of the truth of us, that the guru enables us to see the truth of ourself, our capital S self. How do you find the right guru? Well, they say that when the disciple is ready, the guru appears. That's the sort of common thing that is said. But I would add to that, I would say the disciple has to be not only ready, but really open. You may think you're ready. You may think you need the guru, you want the guru, but you're not really open. There's a great story of a man who wanted enlightenment and was looking for a guru to give him enlightenment. And he heard about this great guru, and he climbed the mountain to find the guru and goes in the cave where the guru is and bows, tells the guru, here's all of what I've done, here's what I've experienced, what I've achieved, and here's what I need. Here's what I need. Here's what I need from you. And the guru said, have a cup of tea. And the man said, I don't have time for tea. I'm here for enlightenment. And the guru said, have a cup of tea. And he goes to the back of the cave and he comes back with a teapot and 2 cups. And he puts the cups down and he starts to pour. And the cup fills, but he keeps pouring. And now the tea is spilling out all over and onto the floor of the cave. And the man says, stop. The cup is full. It can't hold anymore. And the guru says, your mind is exactly like this cup. You're so full of what you think you know, what you think you need, what you think you've done, that there actually isn't any room for me to give you anything. And so just like you can't take more tea till you drink what's already in the cup, I can't give you more until you empty yourself of all that you're already thinking. And so I think the disciple has to be both ready and open and empty as well. And then in terms of finding the right guru, unfortunately there's not an equation for this, but what I frequently share are some hints to know that someone is not the right guru. So at least hopefully by a process of elimination, if someone doesn't have these qualities and you feel the light of you in their presence, then chances are they may very well be the right guru for you. So signs to look for that someone is not the right guru. The more that person tries to convince you they are. Anybody who tries to convince you I am the one, the only, the best, I would run as fast as you could in the other direction. Anybody who seems attached to, interested in collecting people, disciples, devotees, for themselves in some way, again, I would run as fast as I could in the other direction. Anyone who's more focused on shining the light on themselves than on you, I would run as fast as I could in the other direction. The light that the guru shines is not, look at me. It's not flashlights on me, spotlights on me, look at me. In the guru's presence, you should feel the light of you. A lot of times there are leaders who may be very charismatic leaders, and we get caught up in an energy of charisma and an energy of kind of a light shining on the guru. But then the minute we're no longer with them, there's that sense of emptiness because we weren't actually given something. And in a way, they orchestrate it like that because then it's just about, oh, you've got to be back there with them to feel that. But the real guru is giving you the light of you. It doesn't mean you don't want to be with them all the time. Of course we do. I've been here now 27 years. They cannot kick me out. So we definitely want to be with our gurus. It's not that. But it's not because when I'm not in the guru's presence, I can't find myself. It's because there's something very powerfully magnetic, beautifully divine, beautiful light in that presence. But the light that we feel, and then it stays with us, is the light of ourself. The Guru is showing you the light of you. So if in someone's presence you feel a light of you, a truth of you, a fullness of you, that's a Guru. But if in someone's presence you just feel, wow, 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 you're so great, I'm nothing, that might not be the right Guru for you. Because the point is to see and feel that light of you, that divinity of you. And can a Guru be someone who's no longer in the body? Absolutely. Absolutely. I know a lot of people whose Gurus have passed on. I have had very deep connections through books to masters who have passed on, like Paramhans Sri Ramakrishna. I've had incredibly ecstatic experiences of his presence just from reading the book. So yeah, absolutely. The problem with that is if you're looking for guidance and lead and somebody to lead you in your life, it's really helpful to have a Guru who's in their body. Because otherwise the ego gets very clever and very cunning and starts trying to push you and lead you in different directions. And if you don't actually have a living Guru saying, what are you thinking? It's very easy to get swept up by the games of the ego. So I would always encourage, take whatever wisdom and power and depth and beauty and amazing gifts have been given to us by those who have left their bodies. But if you're looking for guidance in this very human existence, in this karmic journey, it's really helpful to also have a Guru who's actually in their bodies. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. And remember that we have, starting at 8:30, Garba dancing in the central courtyard where our temple is. If you were going to walk back to Ganga, it would be on your left. It's the big courtyard. When we come up from Ganga, you hear the bells going. It's there at 8:30. Have some dinner for those of you who eat dinner, and then join us in the courtyard for Navaratri Garba dancing. It's really beautiful, and it's very, very, very traditional this time of year during Navaratri. So if you don't know how to do it, don't worry. There will be lots of Indian women and even Indian men there who will be super happy to take your hands and teach you how to do it. So nothing to worry about. Beginners, very welcome. And so much love to you all, and I look so forward to being together tomorrow as well.